the mission and the
Okay.
guiding principles of the organization.
But what comes before the vision, the mission, and the guiding pro? I know that the steps were that start with that one, step one. But what comes before that? Yeah, Judison. Mm. What comes before that? Oriawa.
Prof, I think the purpose of the data policy or governance.
Oh, the purpose is part of it. It's part of what you are defining your vision. Okay, anyway, the purpose, the background, you are right. But what comes before that one too? Yes, Eugene.
Yes, Prof. I think that has to do with aligning it with the data governance principles in Ghana. I think
Oh,
that's what we need to do.
that one is true. It's part of the activities. But what comes before the whole thing? The answer is on the screen, and you people are all seeing something different. Magnus.
Yes, Prof. Can we say the version and the effective date?
Yes, that is one. It's part of it. But what is more important than the version and the effective date? Yes, Doji later. Today,
Choosing,
people are
choosing
giving me answers left, right. I'm feeling the class. Abigail,
choosing the type of policy you use.
okay, that's also a good point. I didn't even think about that. That's good. That's good. But even choosing, who is the one doing the choosing?
Your executive branch, so either your board or your CEO or your
So
data steward.
what comes before that? The word starts with O and or A.
You know the access
No.
of
Prof, is it the responsible office and administrator?
Okay, so it's the approval, the ownership. Who is the one who's going to own it? So that's what you're saying here, the approvals, the owner, the responsible administrator, the owner. Who is the one that then is going to actually be the person who pass it on? So the reason is that policy is done at the executive level. Remember, we learned that one from the beginning. So establishing who is the owner of it, who is the final authority is very, very important. And no matter how much idea you may have to have a policy, you still need the owner's approval to even see, to initiate the whole idea. Yesterday, somebody was telling me about a policy that was floated out in the University of Ghana, and they are not happy about it. So they went to see the owner, they went to see the VC and the pro VC about it. And the pro VC said that you can't use your mouth to come and say, you need to write a proposal of what you want to change and what you think is wrong about the current policy, and then set up it and bring it to me, and I will set up a team to go and investigate what you are saying, and then it can then when the team brings a report, we can all meet and then deliberate on it. Very, very interesting implementation of what we have been talking about. So even though the person had an idea and it was important and it was within his remit to bring that case, it was actually the Utah president. He said he had to go and see VC and then the pro VC about the issue. So he was calling me to tell me whether I can help him be able to like come up with a policy. And I had to point him that even though you have come to me, there are people who have what we call the sponsors, people who, if they talk, the VC will listen right now because they are in some key positions. You go and see them. So the most important thing is the person who is going to be the final approval. Otherwise, you can do all the meetings, and the person will not. Remember what happened to the LGBTQ rules that came in Parliament, and then in the last government. At the end of the day, the thing they couldn't go anywhere. So sometimes the person who is going to actually accept at the final has to have a buy-in before you even start all your activity and your process. Please, do you understand that? So even though you are very enthusiastic, you are very energetic about it, and you think that it should be done, it should be done. You are saying the masses are with you, power to the people. All these things you are saying, you still have to go and get the approval from the top because policy has to be amended, ascended to, has to be approved through due process. You can't jump and to implement policy to a past policy. So let's understand that part. Okay, so if you look at it, I said that we are looking at the first one, the UNLV, that's University of Nevada, Las Vegas. Look at what they say here. Data governance at UNLV was established at the direction of the Integrated Information System Steering Group and approved by the President's Cabinet in April 2005. The purpose of that data governance policy was to achieve the following. So you matter what you are saying. The steering committee is important, and then the president is important. So you remember what I just said about VC's example. You go and see the VC. VC tells you that go and put something together to make it a formal request. When you bring it, then you can then pass it to the steering committee, a committee that will go and sit on it to finish it, and then submit it through the due process for her to approve it. I hope you understand. So it works. It even works in the scenario I'm just telling you that it had nothing to do with IT, but it had to do with policy concerning issues in the university. And also, it works. In almost everything, most of all these things, you need to understand who is the approval authority. You don't just get up and dream that you want policy and you want it to come to pass. But sometimes you need key staff who can actually be able to do that. Key staff. Yesterday, I think the president and NITA unveiled a new director. And when they unveiled the new director, I quickly called the former director, who was my PhD student, and said, "Why are you leaving the position?" Then told me that the minister needs me to go to become a technical a specialist at the ministry itself, responsible for overseeing a number of different policies. But because the policies talk to each other, we need somebody who has the expertise and that know-how after finishing his PhD to be able to look at, okay, you are working on this policy, but you need to touch on NCA, you need to touch on let's say healthcare, you need to touch on this, you need to that person to be able to look at a number of different policies which are still lying on the table and have not been gone through the due process for it to be ascended and to be consulted with the key organization, the key members in the ministry and beyond, and then to be able to be submitted to parliament. So you need such a person to go and do that. But I said, but you can't do that from NITA. I said, no, NITA, I will end up being a director overseeing NITA activities, which is a little bit in a nucleus. It's just quite it's limited. There is other things that have to be done, and there are policies that the industry needs or the sector needs that are cross boundary and cross functioning. So you need that person who is a technical specialist can do that. So sometimes, even after you've been thinking about what you want to do, who to carry out the activity is a different issue. So please, in your committee, as you're working together, I just want you to have a broader perspective of what you are doing. Who is the authority approving your document that you are going to present to me in 2 weeks or 3 weeks' time? Who is the one going to approve it? Are you going to get approval from the person? I'm not saying that go to ministry or something, but you have to create a fictional member of your team who is the final approval person, and so that we can see the tactical, they can see all the different levels in your community, the strategic level, the tactical level, and the operational level. Don't come with the 8 people or 10 people and come and say all of you are working at the same level. Please, you understand me? This is a point I'm giving to your group because your group, you really engage with me. I've not told any other group, but this is something I'll be looking out for. Have you heard? Hey, I'm giving
Yes,
you.
yes, sir. We've heard you.
Yes,
Thank
Prof.
you.
Yes,
Thank you for
Prof.
the
We've
tip.
heard, oh, we've heard. We've heard.
Bro.
God
Okay.
bless you, Prof.
This one, if you say God bless you, I'm in trouble because I was not be with the others. Maybe I'm be like FIFA and Argentina.
Hmm.
Okay, so Magnus, go ahead. We'll
Yes,
be looking
Prof.
at. Mhm.
Prof,
Yeah.
because you raised the issue about the LGBTQ issue in Parliament, I mean, the last administration. So I'm tempted to ask the executive sponsors of
Mhm.
the data governance framework, can we say they are similar to sponsors of a bill in Parliament? Can we say?
Yeah. Yes. A sponsor is somebody who has influence, but it might not be the owner.
Okay.
Yes. So, for example, let's say that somebody can say that even the current minister of digitalization was a sponsor of the bill. Somebody can say that some minority initiatives that the minority caucus has been put on. That's one of the key sponsors is Honorable Afenyo Markin. Another key sponsor is sometimes, if it's healthcare, free IU. If it is now it's very confusing with the what's the name? With defense, we know that is the Reverend Minister, and then it's with when it's with the economy. Sometimes could do upon crew, and then sometimes somebody else. They kind of the economy don't. I don't think. In my view, I see plurality of sponsors and viewpoints depending on where the person want to say what you gain out of it. Yeah. But what I'm just trying to just say, what you're just trying to say is actually true. Yeah, the person was influenced to actually take the thing on and get people to listen. Okay, so every institution may have different approaches to handling their governance policy, the data governance policy. I talked about the steps that you start with the a vision, mission, and guiding principles. Then you go to the scope and intended outcomes. Then you go to the governance structure and key rules. Then you go to please the examples of the papers, the policy that we are mentioning. You can find them in the Sakai complementary resources in the resources folder in Sakai. If you go and look at where we put the slides and stuff, all the slides and things are there, and then these documents I'm using are all there. So usually on your group, just on your group platform, I only put the key text. That's the supplementary material for the chapter. But the rest of the examples, you can go to the page and then download them. The ones I've referenced in this particular document. Yes, and then you have defining the core components and functions of governance. Then talking about the enabling technology that you need to do so. Then you plan for monitoring and continuous improvement, and then you finish. So that's the schema. So some people have it like that. The policy statement will come, and then the guiding principles will follow. But you see, some of them are subsets. So we would like to see all of these things. But remember, what we just discussed comes before 1.0. The cover sheet that will have the administrative information. It's important that associated information, who is signing, who is the version control, like what you somebody said earlier. The version control, the date it was accepted, the date was received, the date was accepted. All of these things are needed before 1.0. So note that. And the guiding principles will come. The guiding principles, as what a person said here, is drawn from where all the policies in the country that play a key role in because we are in Ghana. But just because this is please note it, because this is for office of the president, almost all the Ghanaian principles are coming from the Act 843, and every Ghanaian company will do the same. However, some Ghanaian companies working with the European Union have got customers who are in Europe, have got customers who are in America, have got customers who are in Asia. So they may have to look into certain principles that are in the GDPR or are in California in case they are going to work in their products, their services, or their app they have developed are used by people from California or living in California. You may need to have a clause that has some of the guiding principles addressing the foreign data subjects that you are engaging with. So please keep that in mind. The governance structure will come in terms of rules and responsibilities, and they are defined. Now, if you're a multinational who has got different sector, different companies in different jurisdictions. Sometimes your data governance policy will be specific to a country. Then you may have one that is specific to the region. So when we're looking at Samsung's privacy policy some time ago, that one was for the European Union region, and they also have ones for UK. Even though you have one for European Union, you have one for UK. So it's possible that you can have a nested approach in your policies, a nested approach for your policy. For example, I'm coming, Michael. I'll just respond to you. For example, just imagine that you have a lot of activity in Kumasi and you are doing a lot of business in Kumasi and you are doing a lot of good business and quite some good business in Accra. So in terms of your cash cow or your cash nets, Kumasi comes first before Accra and maybe the northern region. But Kumasi too is very cultural, and everybody who goes there has to go in Grito 2 4. You have to do things in line with the cultural dynamics of Kumasi. It means that if your data governance policy, you may have to factor certain things that are peculiar to Kumasi, and maybe you may even have one for Kumasi before you have one for Accra and then Accra and any other region. Because Kumasi is your cash cow, maybe 70% of your market is there. So and the way Kumasi is, you can't actually compare it to how you roll out Accra and Accra business. Yeah, so you may want to be very sensitive to what you do in Kumasi and what you do in Accra. And you cannot use one size fits all approach, it will not work. So you may need to develop something that is specific to Kumasi and then another one which is specific to other regions. And then maybe have one which at the board level it covers all the regions. Okay. So that's why the reason I'm saying that is that because of the fact that Kumasi is peculiar, you could have a governance steering committee that is just for Kumasi, which reports to the group steering committee. Good. Yeah. And then you could also have a data governance committee council, which is just for Kumasi. And you have a group one, which is for every place. Okay. Some of the banks, those who work in the banks and those who work in some tiered organization that have branches all over, you appreciate what I'm saying. Because I know some people who sit in Ghana office, but they actually work at the Pan-African level. Even though their offices in Ghana, all the activities they do is Pan-African. So they are managing activities from African countries. However, in that same building, there is the Ghana office that just focuses on Ghana. I work with the UN system for UNESCO. I was head of communications in UNESCO for about a year and a half. And I learned that things from there. I was looking overseeing 7 countries, but still there was a Ghana office. Overseeing 7 West African countries. Yeah, and I had to go to Togo to go and monitor activities and projects I have there. I had to let people go to Sierra Leone on my behalf because you can't be everywhere at the same time. So what you see is that you will still have to have country offices, even though you have an office which is at the regional level. Yes, Michael, let me address all this I'm talking about. I don't know. I didn't talk about all these things. Okay, anyway, the nature of the class also leans towards a different discussion. Yeah, Michael, let's go ahead.
Good afternoon, Prof.
Good afternoon.
You made mention of the fact that if you are designing a data governance policy and you have customers who are in the European region, although you may be in Ghana, you may be you have to be guided by the GDPR laws as well.
Yes, please.
Sorry.
Yeah.
So I was asking whether if you are designing a policy, but you don't have any what's the word? You don't have any stakeholder who is in maybe the European region, but you want to borrow some of the guiding principles of GDPR just because you feel it's in line with best practices. Is it allowed?
It's allowed, but can it be enforced is another issue.
Okay.
For example, there's what you call right to be forgotten, which is in some of the foreign ones. It's not necessarily stated explicitly in Ghana's own. So can somebody in a customer of you tell you that I have my right to forgotten, so totally delete and expunge everything about me from your database? The question I'm asking you now, can the customer insist? Now it will be just a no. If your own policy is saying it and a good lawyer has it, the lawyer can hold you responsible. But if somebody is actually also, if government is the one coming to intervene and government is looking at it from the data policy in the Data Protection Act of Ghana, they may not be able to use that as an because it's not an illegality per se in the country. If the company says that you are there, especially a hospital, when you go to MDS Lancet and you say you want to write to be forgotten, you have to be careful that those rights are not enforced, cannot be enforced, even though they have got international partners. It may be enforced on a foreign subject who has come to Ghana, live an Italian working in Ghana, and actually has used their services. He's living in Ghana now. You say, I want to write to be forgotten. Give me all my details, expunge everything you have. But then the person can say that I'm also working within the remit of Ghana law. That healthcare data, I need to keep it for a number of years. For example, we are now building a healthcare exchange. You can't just get up and say you want to write to be forgotten because you are coming from GDPR. Even GDPR has got certain limits concerning certain types of data. But because of the fact that the person is an European Union person and you want to collect services from the person, GDPR will come after you. And if a good European lawyer wants to go after you, they can come after you too. And you become a battle of whose policy is stronger and who has more bargaining power. It happens to quite a number of companies. I think during the last jurisdiction of the MPP's time, there was an issue that when they went to Ghana, when they were in Ghana, government won the case. But when they went to UK, they had to settle or arbitrate or something like that because they saw they couldn't win the case when the company took them to Europe. But when they were in Ghana, government had an upper hand. But as they took after losing Ghana, the company went to file, I think, in the UK or in Europe, and then the Ghana didn't get. I won't say Ghana found itself on the other side. So we have to be very careful when we talk about jurisdiction and what companies can be able to hold others in respect to, as responsible can hold people accountable to that particular policy or that particular act or that particular right. Yeah. So you develop your governance structure. I hope I've answered all the questions. If there's any hand that I've not seen,
Yes.
please draw my attention, class rep. Yes. Then the core governance components. Now, even though you are developing a data governance policy, it is borrowing or sitting on top of other policies that govern your data management life cycle or data life cycle management. So your data life cycle has different steps in it. The different steps have to have different policies that govern them. Some companies use a simplistic approach of having classification, access, usage, quality, metadata management, and then retention and disposal. Others have a more detail. There are more other ones than this. Okay. So whatever it is, you need to be able to define that. Some of these are in our GDP and our Data Protection Act. For example, in Data Protection Act, our classification has to do with personal data and then special personal data. But that may not be applicable to your organization. Your organization may want to use public data, internal data, restricted data, internal restricted, and internal maybe super restricted, something like that. So means that the public one is made publicly available. The internal one is for only employees. The internal restricted can be for only managers or senior management. The internal super restricted may be just for executives, and maybe the board. So you have to have classification of your policy. Please, the reason I'm not scrolling is because I'm using the table of content and you have read it already. So I will scroll later. I just want to be able to make sure I cover all the points that are necessary so that when we go into detail, we understand. Then you also have to define your access policy. Now, at the 4.0, you are actually bringing summaries or key statements which summarizes or refers to what you have as a policy. So I don't expect that when you are coming to do your presentation, you have distinct policy statements and different documents for 4.1, 4.2, 4.3, 4.4. Although in the past, a group has done some of them before. They had their data governance policy and they had their subsection policy as appendices, sometimes 2 pages for each of them. I've seen that the group that did it before, but I'm not. It's an extra factor for you. I'm not insisting that you should have it. For example, the reason is that we are trying to develop policy at the board level, or the one that looks after the whole organization, not just a unit in Kumasi or a unit in Accra. We are trying to do one that covers the whole institution. That's why I'm asking that you bring summaries of those ones into 4.1, 4.2, 4.3, 4.4. Yeah. But I have seen policies that cover more than that and documents that cover more than that. So that's how we sometimes see it. Yeah. I see policies that cover, they can be very detailed. And let's also just refer to them because the access policy may be there, the usage policy may be there, responsible usage policy may be there, quality management policy may be there, and then metadata management policy may be there. The reason is that some of the things that are here are needed for even to make sure that your data steward can work. Now, if the data steward is going to train users, how can he train the users without knowing what are the remedies for training? How far can you go in training? How do you differentiate different user categories and different stakeholders? What does he train customers and what does he not train customers on? So it's important that you have these things. If your database developer is working on a new database for maybe a new product you are brought in, let's say you are now brought in, you sell let's say you do non-alcoholic beverages, and now you want to do a line on maybe strawberry and lemon, strawberry lemon, and you want to do it for the whole country. Now you need to be able to create data around it in your, so that data entry, how are we going to call it? That data set, how are we going to manage it? What's the name class name that we are going to use to be able to attributes we are going to give to it? Even though we know the attributes in our existing data, but what name are we going to give it to that? And what other things are we going to define around it? Maybe this is coming through a partnership with another company in Denmark. So we may have to make sure that they also have access to that data. Now, in that such scenario, your metadata, meta management data will play policy will play a key role, even or principles or sorry or guidelines will play a key role. And in that you may find you will find your data dictionary, you will find your glossary, all those things. Now you want to do disposal of data. Your data policy will play a key role. So it's important that even though you are developing a big policy for the organization, these things should be there. These things should be in there. Then you also have procedures and operations, how you escalate these issues as when they happen, and then other policies that are relevant to that document, this document, and the appendices. This is what we want to see. Now, so let's look at an example here first, and let's go through whether we can see everything that we have said here in a different, the same way. The example policies that we are looking at may not follow the same structure, may not have all the components because of the different units that they may cover, but they may still try to get the work done. That's what it is. So, for example, the governance structure is defined way in the beginning after defining the purpose. So the purpose is defined. The scope is entities affected by the policy. That scope, and then who should read the policy is also part of the beneficiaries for the policy, which is maybe also be seen as part of scope. They may not use the word scope there, but they have actually mentioned that in the scope. Then the policy items will come the governance structure, access policy, usage policy, and integrity and integration policy. All these are all part of governance components. But he has combined the governance structure with the governance components. So the governance structure is the first one. The governance components are the 3, 2, 2, 3, and 4. 2, 3, and 4. Yes, please. I saw a hand up. Is it okay, or I should answer? Okay, good. So governance structure will come, and the practice of making strategic and effective decisions regarding UNLF information access is assumed the philosophy of freedom of access to university data by all members, and is coupled by the responsibility to adhere to all policies and all legal constraints that govern that use. In the interest of attaining the effective data governance, the university applies formal guidelines to manage its university information access and assign staff to implement them. That's very good. While the university data administrator is assigned to leadership role and oversight of the activities of the data governance, this function is shared with the executive sponsor, data stewards, data administrators, and data users. Now, this statement that is here, why do you think it's there? Why do you think it's there? The word is A. Why do you think it's there? Why do you think it's there? Yes. Abigail, are you here?
Oh, please, I'm here.
Okay, answer the question. So you have not heard your voice. I want to hear that lovely voice of yours. So let's tell me. The university is assigned to leadership role and oversight for the activities of data governance. This function is shared. This part, that's the part I want to know. This function is shared among the executive sponsor, data stewards. And why is it there?
I think it's there to specify those who have access to the data. The stakeholders, or they are the stakeholders. So that's what I.
Okay, it's not necessarily that. Yes, Eben, tell me.
Prof, can I say it's for accountability purposes?
Ability, and then it's for also sharing the risk. Otherwise, somebody can just sit there and say that you are the one we appointed. It's your duty. It's your duty, and they absorb themselves whenever there's a problem. It is actually about what you just said. It's about accountability and then sharing, spreading the risk. people don't understand that spreading risk is very, very important. Spreading the risk. That's the reason why sometimes we establish threshold. Only you can sign at this level, only you can sign at that level. We are spreading the risk. So that one person doesn't sit one at one place and make all the decisions. Okay. Good. So executive sponsors will appoint data steward through the establishment of data policies and institutional priorities, provide direction to them and data administrators. The university data stewards comply the Data Governance Council, a body that meets regularly to address a variety of data issues and concerns. Very interesting the way they have turned the hierarchy upside down. The steward rather comprised of the council. The council is the one who actually appointed the steward. But anyway, this institution wants to go this way. So for years, the person who leads this thing is the data administrator. That's what the institution calls him. Please, that's why I said that look at the institutional culture. Don't just say that because Prof says something, this is how it should be. This is the institutional culture. When we come to the office of the president, if you look at what we did here, the example gives you something like an inverse relationship, an inverse of this one. This one, you have got the council being at the top and the chaired by the chief of staff, who is a person who oversees everything concerning the presidency. And then the members of that council are stated. The director of IT is representing the IT, chief directors, presidential advisors, legal, head of legal, and other senior officials. Then responsibilities that are supposed to come in. Then we go to tactical tier, and then we go to the operational tier. So when your company stands before me in 2 or 3 weeks time, I need to see these tiers, and I see who is the head of your council, and then who are the members of that council. Maybe 2 or 3 people. Then another 2 or 3 at the tactical level, and I set at the operational level. So that when I'm asking questions for custodian, the operational level will answer. When I'm asking strategic questions, the tactical team will answer. Is that so? Is that okay? So they define the executive sponsors, the director of data management, the data stewards, the data administrators. Then they go to data access policy. This is how they have done their components. You see that I told you that it's an actual policy that exists. So you see they have abstracted the statement. Because it's not just a small document, that it's an actual policy document. You have the statement of policy. That means that the policy is there. We have just pulled the purpose. The purpose is the one above it, and the statement of the policy is actually put here. Okay. The same here for the usage policy. So a very good team who is doing this assignment, because I'm not to go and develop. I'm not requesting. I'm not requesting by obligation that you should have a data policy separate, a data usage policy separate. I still need to see within the body of your policy that you understand that you should have a statement of policy and the purpose of policy at least stated in your data policy. And even here, they have got the non-compliance. So it seems almost a whole snapshot of the policy has been put in the document here. The data integrity and integration policy. Good. And so first of all, they do the definition, and then after that, they bring the policy and they state some of the items in the policy. Very well done. Okay, then the last part is to look at in fact, that's the last one, data integration. Then after that, they go to the related documents and they go to your contacts in case you have any issue concerning the policy. And then the definitions. And that's all. That's what they want to do. Never that. But when you come to Oklahoma Office of the Management and Enterprise Services, they also begin with the administrative information. Next week. So, and that is more detailed than what I have here. The effective date of the policy, and then it was a prior policy that they developed or they built this one from. They would have stated it. The last review, the day the policy was last reviewed, was revised, and then approved by who approved Dana Webb, as designee of the the Office the Management and Enterprise Services Director. And the next schedule review, the policy number. If the policy number is replaced an existing number, they also mention it, and the approval date. So the approval date and the date of last reviewed are the same. It's consistent. Okay. Then they use a particular methodology, whatever methodology, a particular framework to guide them in developing their policy, and it's the Dharma knowledge, the Dharma body of knowledge, which is the Data Management Association International Data Management Body of Knowledge, DMBOK. I call DMBOK or DMBOK. So they use that particular approach, and DMBOK has about 10 priorities that you are supposed to address. And I think they attempt to address that one somehow in their documentation. So it goes from there, it goes to policy statements, in which they state the purpose of the policy. Then you go to the procedure that the policy will be working with. Okay. Then after that, you look at the knowledge areas as from the Dharma body of knowledge. They cover data architecture, data modeling and design, data storage and operation, data security, data integration and interoperability, documents and content, reference and master data, data warehousing and business intelligence, metadata and data quality. So they are covered all of these things as what they are going to be used to, as principles they are going to use for the organization. Then from there, you see the wheel, the Dharma International Knowledge Wheel that is showed here. It shows you how the moving components come together to be able to create the data governance. And this is the 2013 edition. And I think there are newer renditions of the same thing. And then it goes on to the data governance program and framework. And in that, they outline the structure, and they tell you that the structure is made up of A. So if you're going to work in that institution, you want to know the structure. First of all, there's an executive committee that provides leadership. Then they go to data governance committee, who are executive directors, and they go to data CEOs and it goes to data CEOs and committee, and then the work groups. Good. Now, what they are supposed to do below is that they are supposed to work with data as a standard, collect information that leads to changes in the changes to the document, and then enable people to access it, and then lastly for research and analytics. Now, what is quite also interesting here is that these ones are functional areas which are well defined in here, but it's not some of all the terminology that we saw in our earlier write-up that you see there, but still they exist. So the data governance committees are executive committee, the data governance committee is and the data stewards committee, and related stewards working group. Okay. So within the data governance rules, they have the executive sponsor. It's a member of senior leadership who is planning and who has planning and policy responsibility and accountability for major administrative data systems within their functional areas. Data owners are appointed by the executive chair committee. Appointed by executive committee. They are typically directors and managers who have authority to determine business functions of data, grant access to data, and approve access to secure data, or approve the secure usage of data for functional areas within their delegation or of authority, within their delegations of authority. Okay. Then data custodians responsible for the day-to-day activities, operation and management of. Oh, okay, that's interesting. Good. They are typically directors who have authority to determine the business different definitions of data, grant access to data, and approve the secure usage of data for functional areas within their delegations of authority. Good. Now you've got data custodians, okay, and you've got data users, okay. Then from there, they have the data governance office, which you mentioned, and ends there. Some of the things we said are there, some of the things are wholly not there, but it still works for the organization. Now, this one is a little bit closer to home. You have got the administrative sections detailing who approved it and what they did. And then it goes on to the purpose of it, data governance policy, the scope and the policy provisions will come. In the policy provisions, they draw on the data governance framework, which was introduced by the Data Governance Steering Committee meeting earlier in 2015 to improve the oversight, guidance, and quality of the data. Okay. but they also see data as a strategic asset. So they are going to largely work with those who can be able them to operate and manage it. Okay. Data governance policies are a subcomponent of the data governance framework. The policies are guided by principles that should be adhered to support the improvement in managing and securing data across the university. Data policy framework and principles. So they are divided into four. They are the governance and ownership, quality and integrity, classification and security, and then terms and definitions. So they start with the rules and define all the rules and what they are supposed to do, which is very good. So there's clarity of purpose, clarity of roles, division of labor, all defined well. Okay, so from there we have the different dimensions about quality and integrity. What are we saying about it? Classification and security, what are we saying? Concern, what are provisions within our institution? And then you have got terms and definitions. Okay, they have got further assistance, policy review and further assistance. Well articulated. Accountability show them who they are accountable to. And then the supporting information and show that the other documents that are related to what they are discussing here. Good. Okay. So the latter part is the definitions and acronyms, and it goes on and on and on and on. Then lastly, ends with the version control. Okay, so this is good. Now, their cycle is this way. They have got the cycle define and classify, clean and create, automate and distribute, secure and control, and dispose. Now, let's get to the interesting part. When you are developing the policy, the first thing that you need to do is what a gentleman said earlier. Apart from establishing the owner, you need to also understand which regulatory issues will influence you. So please, it's important that you understand who you are. You are the data controller, so you also have to register with Ghana Protection Data Protection Commission. You have to register, and then all the third parties you are working with. So far, you'll be dealing with data. They also have to register or get them registered. Your third parties who are data processors have to be registered. You too have to register. Now, you are most importantly required to register before you collect data. So even the watches seller has to register. The your friend in Kumasi who has a shop or your hairdressing salon who collects ask you that please fill this form so that we can get to know you and then we can contact you later. It's collecting data. Okay. So please note that part. As soon as you start collecting data, you need to be registered. Yes, there was a hand up. Kenneth.
Doc, I just wanted to ask, in the creation of a data policy, right? I think with regards to the previous ones you showed to us, I think in some instances, the legal framework in which the data policy is founded on and therein is going to operate in, a number of them was not clearly stated that okay, based on let's say Act 101 clause blah 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 blah, they weren't clearly stated. So in a case like that, is it mandatory that you clearly state the shall I say the geographical legal remits in which your data policy is founded on?
Yes, I think it's better you do that. For example, if I get to if I was writing, I get to a place like this. I'll state it. Do you see what I've highlighted?
Yes, sir.
Good. Now, some of the examples I'll show, one of them even states, mentions the GDPR. I can't remember which one it was, but One of them, let me see, this is your country. Mm. I don't think it's this one, but one of them actually states the institution, the one of the national regional policy that they adhere to. Okay. So you state it. You state it.
Well noted, sir.
Yes, Olivia, go ahead.
Doc, please, if now it's stating that at 843 makes the Ghanaian entity the data controller for data collected in Ghana. Now, my question will have to do with if the entity is now a subsidiary of a foreign parent, who now becomes the data owner?
I'm confused. You said what? If the
So
Ghanaian what?
now at 83, it's saying
Mhm.
that all the data collected in Ghana, it's for the data controller.
Yes.
But now the entity is a subsidiary of a foreign company. And we are
So
looking at the data owner. Are we now going to give it to the local subsidiary or the global head of the data domain?
the organization or senior role such as data owner, executive sponsor should be the internal representative accountable for the legal duty. Who is your internal representative in Ghana?
The data controller.
No, you are talking about the definition of data controller. Who is your, and I'm asking that in relation to organization, who is your internal representative?
The board of directors.
Who is your internal representative in the country?
Doc,
Yes.
please, it's confusing me the more. So what I'm saying is,
Why are you confusing yourself? Okay, let me ask you a question.
okay,
Okay. Your father has a house in Kumasi.
mhm,
You are the
mhm.
one living after your father. Who is the internal representative of your father in that house?
Myself,
Whenever we come there, we're asking about anything. Who are we talking to?
myself.
Okay. You've answered yourself.
So now the data owner will be for the Ghanaian. Is that how it's
Who
going
is
to be like, Prof?
the owner of the house?
Is the entity in Ghana?
Who is the owner of the house? The one I give example I give you.
My father,
Who is the representative of your father?
myself.
Thank you.
Mhm. Okay.
That's what I'm saying.
So I now
Data,
becomes the data owner.
data controller is the organization. A senior role such as data owner also should be the internal representative of for this legal duty. So that if we can catch somebody and put to prison. You can't carry the organization to prison. You carry the one who represents the organization to prison.
Okay. But here is the
Organization.
case that I'm a subsidiary of a foreign company.
So who is the person in Ghana?
So now they'll take me in Ghana responsible.
Yes. But if you come to
Okay.
your father's house in Kumasi and you are looking for somebody to beat because the pipe is broken, it's not you that will beat you.
Okay. Thank you.
It's different from the fact that you are a landlord. You are a this, and you say you are waiting for the landlord to come. You are, a tenant is not concerned about what the building is. A tenant can even leave and go abandon the building without even giving notice for the landlord. And he has left. That his time is up. He has left. He's not there anymore.
Okay.
But the representative of the landlord is a representative of the landlord.
Thank you.
I hope you understand it.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, Eben.
Yes, Prof. Please, on the basis of or the follow up on what she was asking, I also want a practical clarity. So, assuming you have something like a company, right, where we have the executive, the CEO, and then the directors. So, in this case, the governance structure, the executive sponsor, from how I'm understanding it, maybe wrong. So, is it that the executive sponsor is the directors, the CEO, the data owner is, let's say, heads of department, and then the data steward will be like the compliance for that organization, and the custodians are the IT managers. Am I getting it right, or I'm getting it totally wrong?
You are confusing two things. Are we talking about your organization or talking about your registration at data controller at DPC? Which one are you talking about?
Okay. I'm talking about the organization itself. So I'm trying to define.
That's not
I'm
what
trying
we
to
are
define the
discussing.
governance structure of the organization.
No,
Yes.
no, that's not what we are discussing. We're not discussing about our registration. If we are talking about your structure, it's about what you
Oh,
define. So your structure, you have defined your structure like this one. At the strategic tier, the person has got the data governance council, the chief of staff, the members, the chief of the directors and staff, and responsibilities. At the tactical tier, he has the data owner. Data owners are owners of data for a functional area. So you can have finance can have their finance is one data unit. Marketing is one data unit, procurement is one data unit. Each of them can have their own data owners. It can be the head of finance or whoever the head of finance designates as his representative.
Okay. And so assuming like for the bank sector, like the compliance team can be like the data stewards, while the data owners can be heads of departments, right?
Yes,
I just want
please.
to understand the thing so that I can also apply it a bit more.
Please, I beg you. The data owner is at the tactical level. The data owner is not at the strategic level. Your
Oh, okay.
data steward is at the operational level. The
Okay.
document, you will read it. Data owner, senior officials such as directors of departments with ultimate accountability of data in their functional respective domain, such as communications, operations, and national security.
Great. Okay.
I hope you
Okay.
understand me.
Yes, Prof.
Good. But when it comes to operational tier, data stewards, data custodian, data users, one, subject matter experts appointed by the data owner to be responsible for day-to-day activities. He's a data steward.
Okay. That's fine. Prof, thank you very much.
You're welcome. So at the operational level, we have got the data stewards. And then you are at the tactical level, we have got data owner. And at the strategic level, we have got the data council, the governance council. Is there any ambiguity anywhere? I have time to explain with respect to what you are doing. So please, no question is a wrong question. So if you have done that, the next thing that you are supposed to do is the data governance policies. The data governance policy tells us the data governance components, so the policy components tells us how we are going to configure certain principles together to be able to ensure that we have got good governance. So the first one has to do with classification policy. Every data is not equal. The data are strategic asset. All the data are not equal. So you need to put them within their tiers. And their tiers can either reflect the structure in the organization, the structure about how the organization should be named or filled. And then or the last the structure that will also best fit the way you want to allocate resources. So when somebody is classifying, you can say that I have data that is public, I have data that is internal, I have data that's confidential, I have data that is restricted. Some people can have just special data and very special data. That's all. Some people can have a 4th tier, 5th tier, 6th tier. Now, the more tiers you have, the more complexity you put into your organization in putting them together. Like you put more responsibility on you, how you are able to govern all of them together. If you have more tiers, more work for you. Because you need security for each of them and define the principles that will govern each of them. But the tiers are also important because you have got diverse environment, a diverse cosmopolitan environment will require more tiers, more tiers, more tiers. So please, this one has level 1 public, level 2 internal, level 3 confidential, level 4. I don't know what you have planned for your group. What are some of you? What have you planned? Or you're not even reached there. Okay, please, any question here? Yes, Emmanuel. Please engage you. Engage so that I can answer the questions.
Yes, sir. So some of the policies, they specify the definitions, but with this one, I've not seen it inside. Like the
Definition
definitions of each
of each word.
of like, for example, what's inside the terminology they use inside the policies.
Yes. So have you read the document? Well, so you didn't read the document. Is it not it here?
Okay, so but I was talking about like a broader sense, like more definitions aside these ones.
So what do you mean by border sense? What you choose to put there is what you put there. Somebody has put there only 5 of them because those are the ones that these are
Okay,
technical words.
okay. Yeah, that's what I
Yeah.
wanted to confirm.
But I'll explain something that you have asked, but you don't know. When I get there, I'll explain something else. Okay. Then data access policy. I mentioned that this is going to be a policy that looks at data access, data quality management, metadata management policy, data retention, data disposal. Then escalation of issues. How do you, when something happens, the first person to report should be the data steward. If unresolved, the issue escalates to the data owner. If unresolved, the, the issue will then escalate to the governance office. Then they will put it together to the Presidential Data Governance Council where necessary. Policy review will happen through the governance office, and it will supporting procedures tend to echo that you do the policy review every year. Then you have the consequences of non-compliance. If you don't follow through, what will happen? Very good points that you're supposed to have there. Then the relationship with other policies. Okay, this is what I want, saying that you have asked a good question. Now, this part, you can have it at the national, at the regional level, where there are policies that you are adhering to at the regional level. For example, maybe even at the global level, you are adhering to certain policies. You're adhering to policies that are at the AU level, it will be your regional level. You're adhering to policies that are at the EU level, it may be your global perspective. You're adhering to policies that are at the country level, West Africa level. Yeah, it might also be regional, but more a smaller subset of the region. And you're adhering policies that has to do with Ghana. So that one too, you are adhering to them, and you may mention that. Now, all these ones you are mentioning are policies that exist before the one you are developing. So you can reference them to be able to inform what you are doing. Please, do you understand it? So in some institutions, they will have the AU policy that they drew from. They might even have EU policy that they drew from. And then they'll go on to the other policies. Okay. Any yes. Go ahead and ask your question. Naomi. Duku. Ask your question,
I
please.
wanted to ask with regards to in the documents you gave us, there was something about incorporating technology, and you gave an example of data quality tools like software that profiles, cleanses, and monitors data quality automatically. I wanted to know how how to
Before
incorporate statements like that. Under step
it will be
5, when you were giving the steps for the step-by-step guide to creating your framework.
okay, so those things can
The,
be part of your components, and you can define a data infrastructure and mention the
okay,
different technologies that you want to put into your data system. You can mention that. If you remember, what you have asked is a very good question. If you remember, when we're doing the data governance framework, and I was telling you that you use different ones from different institutions. We talked about the Dama book, and we talked about this one. It had some of them had a very detailed section on what you just said. They have a detailed section on that. So for example, look at here. This is classification. Good. This is what I have for my classification. Then data lineage, sensitive data discovery. Now, this one is more prescriptive, like what you do. But you also are doing what you are going to do, what you have, the policy you are developing as if the thing you have done it already or it's a six. So it's a very different wording. This one is a framework to guide you. So if you look, that's why I was telling you that you could look at the frameworks I taught you in section 3 and use that to guide you in developing the different sections that you have. So this one, I'm just look at the example I gave you. So in terms of access, this is what you want to cover. Access entitlement and provision, access monitoring and reporting. Then you have got data usage and monitoring, even under access. Okay, yeah, this access and usage, so the usage has been added. Then identity and access management. Then protection and privacy. Okay. Then life cycle management, all the different steps. Then portability and interoperability. All these are components that you may adapt some and put them in your work. Now, there was other ones which are more technical. So let me see if I can find them to address your problem. Okay. Oh, please, anybody having a question can go ahead. I'm just looking for something to help. Good. So look at this platform architecture, ensuring technology infrastructure and support data management objectives. So you state certain things that you need in the place. So architectural approach and then your integration approach. Okay. Quite a number of them. Even in this one, they have security, continuity, this and the management, and then they have other ones on governance. So governance and management, and then yeah, governance and management, you have it here. But some of the things cover some of the technical things that you wanted to mention and go over in your own work. So please, there's no one size fits all. You may write it as much as detailed as you may want to do it, but I think you should write what is relevant. That's my best advice. Write what is relevant. Yes. Any other question? Who has question? Then I can go into other specific examples. Okay, then. Now, one thing that I wanted to discuss here is the fact that the policy development happens at the organization level, but its implementation and adherence happens at the individual level. Please do you understand it? Please do you understand it?
Prof, please can you take that again?
The policy development happens at organizational level, but following it up and then adherence to it happens at the individual level. Yes, Winnie.
Okay, Paul, so if I understand it, it means that it is the individuals in the organization that would see to the implementation of the policy.
Good. So
Okay.
that means good. So it means that at the end of the day, the challenge that you have more is about communicating the policy, not just about developing the policy. The problem we have in Ghana and many institutions are we have very good intentions in developing the policy, but we poorly execute the communication of it. So quite a number of people know there's a policy, but they don't even understand it. So quite a number of people even don't know there's a policy, and they just been talking and be asking for certain things that the policy has already covered. So as much as possible, a good policy without a good communication budget and plan is a failed policy from the day one. A good policy without a good communication budget and plan may become a failed policy. So please you understand that part. Your attitude to developing the right material for people to be able to understand it is very, very important. The right material, the right information. So one thing that we also see is that quite in practices in organizations, people tend to forget easily. The policy is developed and they are very happy about it. But in terms of implementing and following the policy, you may not find them related to it at all. And people develop new behavior to go around the policy. So please, I plead with you, your communication has to be top notch. You are not submitting the communication now, you are submitting just the policy development. But when you develop your communication, it has to be top notch, and you also have to identify the different people who are in the different stakeholders who work with the organization or interrelate with the organization. So you have to do the targeted communication materials to address them or to meet them. Yes. Later. Yeah.
So I just want to ask a question based on your experience. After the policy has been implemented, what really bridges the gap in terms of people applying it? Is it proper training? Is it sometimes creating infographics at different junctures when you are using the software? What really bridges the gap in terms of proper implementation in the with the policy that has been adapted, the data framework and policy?
So sometimes the problem we have is that policy comes and the communication and the implementation of it takes some time. So in the past, for example, we had the ICT for accelerated development. It came in, I think, 2003 or something like that. But the office that will implement it and run with it was supposed to be the NITA. That was rather 4 or 5 years after. Because the money that was actually was was released or was the funding that came, we got funding to develop the policy during Kofo's time was one thing. Now the office that will run it and setting it up and getting it passed to come and run it was another thing. So people started implementing it in a piecemeal manner within their units, but the actual office that will coordinate everything came back later. The problem with many developing countries is we develop the policy, but we don't have a budget to be able to run the policy. That's why next week I'm teaching you budget. You have to have a budget to run the policy, to be able to enact the policy, and then to be able to implement the policy. Number two, that is one. So number two, the communication material has to be developed in a way that it actually meets the target group. Now, if you have done the policy and you have not communicated, the people don't know what's in the policy. So they don't even know how to adhere to. How can I follow something that I don't know and I don't understand? I can't follow it. Now, you also just showing up on TV and talking plenty does not mean that you have taught me about the policy. The policy communication has to be intentional to meet the needs of the people who you are targeting, and to be able to explain any ambiguities they have with the policy, which or the policy has communicated, which comes from sometimes painful house to house or painful direct engagement and repetitive engagements with the industry or with the audience. The third issue is that yesterday somebody asked me a similar question, that what is the most difficult thing that you face in implementing policy? And I said that the loss of the sense of governance. That's the problem we have right now. There's loss of the sense of governance. People think that they can do things without being governed. Their rights are rights so far as they are not governed. Their right action doesn't include governance. Their right means that they can do anything they want to do at any point in time. It's affecting homes, it's affecting individuals, it's affecting people at the workplace, it's affecting offices and stuff. Somebody sets up his company, brings people in, and the person who has been employed, when he's being employed, is the most humble the person. The person gets in, now he doesn't want to be governed. He wants to just make his choices at any point in time. He wants to scream and then dictate on the owner. It happens quite often. So people don't want to be governed. And one of the things that you see is how we even use social media. And recently you saw that somebody in doing doing certain things on social media against the president has actually been fined, was it sentenced, I think so. And the funny thing is that the same people who are supposed to protect the system and say that we should have appropriate use of the technology are the same people who are sitting in certain legal courts fighting that the person shouldn't have been, what's the name, arrested and put into prison because it's defamatory and it's not criminal and all those kind of stuff. Let me point out something to you. The softwares that we are using to engage on the platform, ideally, the softwares have to get some governance in the country. Like how Bank of Ghana is going after crypto platforms and saying that you cannot offer services to people in Ghana without as a financial service and you are not registered in Ghana, because you put my people at risk and you put my money at risk. You put our economy at risk. And people don't understand that part, that it's in a free world, we should allow them. The country, the person is listening, but it's not even in the UK. The UK is legal, is regulating. Even in US, they are regulating. If you are using PayPal, you cannot just get up and send and buy crypto. You have to buy crypto with certain particular. You have to actually fill certain forms sometimes, depending on the type of crypto you are buying. Before they allow you to use PayPal to be able to send crypto or buy crypto. You have to even respond to certain questions and get certain clearances. If you use a platform, there's another app that is in this. Okay, when I remember it, some of the platforms you can do, they are limit what you can do because they want you to be able to be legally registered, and we can find you before you can be able to do that. Otherwise, you lead to money laundering. So, but we have an era that we think that the social media should be giving us freedom to be able to do whatever we do, and it shouldn't be regulated. Technically, it is the European Union has rights to protect the people, the European citizens, and even within the European Union, the countries have right to do their own laws concerning these platforms. UK just came up with a rule that if social media shouldn't be used by 13-year-olds and below, because you see what's happening to the children. And it's a rule. So you mean that if someone like a researcher in Cambridge is able to show that you, Facebook, you didn't put in the right measures, and then more 13-year-olds after the law has come are still online or are using your platform, they can be sued, and they can sue you so much that you will not be you feel it will be a cost for you. If you remember what I told you that time, 20 million euros for the European Union, or 20 million euros, or is it a percentage, whichever is higher, they'll charge you so that you become responsible. That's the only way they'll do that. They'll charge you. And there is and sometime a few years ago, Nigeria during the elections banned the use of Twitter. That time it was called Twitter. And people were angry about it because certain ills in society were not being reported. But they were also using it to protect their whole country from having propaganda and other things that will interfere with their their presidential elections. Come to the US, the same thing. Yesterday, Trump did, is it yesterday or 2 nights ago? Trump did an announcement and showing that a lot of the interference that happened during the election at that a few years ago came from China, and was able to show certain things about it. And now he had declassified documents concerning it. So we are in an era that people are, and we are in a country that we are not developing a social media platform, but we are pushing for its use. And anytime that something happens on it and want to regulate, people are angry about it that it's freedom of speech. The platform is a company that is making money. It's not about freedom of speech. The platform is a company that is making money. So if it's allowing and facilitating the propagation of, let me just imagine, give you an example. Toyota is a car company that is in here. If Toyota is making 40 cars that have 40 brakes and Ghanaians are buying and having accidents, are you going to say that because you have got freedom of driving, we should allow Toyota to continue releasing the 40 car? People don't want to be governed. That's the problem we have. And it's a fundamental issue that and because we have poor understanding of the platforms and why people develop the platforms, we think that everything that is being done is good for consumption. It's not good for consumption. If somebody talks, hey, he's going against it, the platforms have to be governed. So we use that. You see that if you go to China, they govern the use of social media in a very stringent way, and they are very firm about it. But you see, the internal social media that is being used there are used in a way to be able to help build the economy and build the children more. I'm not saying they will not have their excesses, they may have their excesses. But if we don't come to a point that we agree that some of these things have to be regulated, a day will come, we'll have a failed state or a failed system. And most of the problems that we are having in many institutions is because governance is failing because of rights. It's happening. It means it's not an opinion, but this as a researcher, you see it happening. The pattern is just happening that way. It's just can't you just see in your own home, your own child? You give your child Tom Brown. The child, I don't feel like Tom Brown today. I want something else. More to maybe for the past 3 days, the child has been eating this and deficient of a particular vitamin, and that's why you are giving the child is rather throwing a tantrum at you. Where did he learn all this tantrum behavior? Because they are seeing people challenging their parents and so much and they think that it's possible. People don't want to be governed. So that's one of the most difficult part. And it happens that even people who govern don't want to be governed. I don't know how to explain to you. The people who govern, they don't want to be governed. So something happens and the person who is supposed to enforce the rule says that as for him, when it comes to him, there should be an exception. Anyway, let's continue.
Yes, I don't mean to drag it on, but so would you say that it's the same thing for AI, the proliferation of AI, especially in the corporate and government space? Because I mean, we use AI for a lot of our work. So I mean, with data governance and policy, and especially with some classified information, a lot of this information is now sitting in a lot of these the servers of these private institutions. So I mean, do you see the same issue coming with that aspect of things as well?
The question is very confusing to me. I don't know where I should answer from. You asked about AI, then you came to talk about service.
Yeah. For example, with data governance, we know that in some situations there's information that should be classified. There's information that should have an owner for it, and there should be some parameters around that information. It shouldn't be shared on some platforms or to some people there in terms of access control. So, but I'm saying that in a lot of in a lot of our dealings, we may need to carry out some analysis. So then you are going to input the information into your AI search engine. more often than not. And then even though for some of these institutions, they may have corporate level access in terms of subscription, the data is still being controlled by a foreign entity. So what I'm asking that in terms of data
Let me
governance and policy, because
come.
you added a whole international, national aspect of it. So do we see that? Do you see that like conflict? Yeah.
Okay, so you have asked a number of questions which are layered. First of all, there's difference between AI governance and data governance. There's an intersection somewhere, but which of them are we looking at? Are we ready for? We are not getting data governance right, and AI governance has come to meet us. The world is not waiting for us to get anything right. They are moving on, and the world is not governing AI. We are still governing data. The challenge that the intersection between the two is that the AI has to be trained on data. So it needs access to data. That's where data governance will come in. But the AI governance is a different circle. It's in a different dynamics. Now, you are also encouraged that AIs are now releasing their open source models, which you can also be able to build your own large language models on your servers so that you can have your own internal slice or GPT to be able to use to do whatever you need to do. So that at the end of the day, you don't have to go out. You see America fighting that Fable shouldn't have been released early, and they had to de-arm Fable before they give it to the world. Because when they release Fable, which is Fable is those who don't know Fable, Fable is one of the versions of Claude, which is from Anthropic company in the US. So in the key players in AI, you have got Anthropic, you have got Alphabet, which that's Google Group that brings the Gemini products, and then you have got what's the name? The open AI people who do the open charging GTP. Then there are other models that are there. Then there beyond that one, I've got the countries like China and Co that have their own Kimi, so many different models. Even companies in China have their own models that they have released. Okay. Now, what I'm trying to emphasize here is that AI governance is on one circle and one part, and data governance on one part. While data governance is much more about protecting our data assets, AI governance has gone more about protecting the security of a nation. That's what we are going to. It's not just about just data, it's not about the security of a nation, because we can use AI to fight more than we can use data to fight. So AI has become much more about the security of a nation, and people are thinking about developing and deploying AI models that are actually country origin specific. So European Union, after America tried to stop the sharing of Fable, or they went ahead to de-arm Fable, European Union the next week, I think so, had a meeting, I think in France, with so many different heads that they need to put in a roadmap for developing their own AI that they would actually deploy for people, countries and then companies in Europe. Because if one morning America says all the American, you see how the American TV stations control content now. That if you want to watch TV and watch their movies and things, you have to pay subscription so you can actually pay, because they have to commercialize it very well. Yes, that's the same way that in future AI will be there, but the access is what's going to commercialize, and it has already started. For example, the AIs that we all use, they are commercializing the access so that they can pay taxes to their country and the country can make some money. Number two, AI is expensive to also operate and run, so they have to find a way of have a revenue model. They can't make AI free all the time. The problem that we have in Africa and other countries is that the countries have taken a lead. They have left data. They are now on AI. And we are still struggling with data and trying to get our data policies and domain policies. Yesterday, I was talking to somebody and saying there are certain policies concerning domain and at certain things. We still have not gotten it right. And the worst of it, even the old one, the social media that people have even left, they are gone to metaverse. We are still struggling with social media. So we are far behind the rhetoric and the discussion that's been going on, and then the technology that is being released. We are far behind. We are far behind. And what is even far behind is that we are even far behind among the intellectualism around it, about how to use the technology. Somebody thinks that social media should be used to fight and do radio discussions and do all kinds of things and make money. Others are also thinking about it for government, political opponents should be fought with and then fought against. So right now, instead of you paying for a public address, you're going to go on social media and fight. But right now, in some countries, that is even the low. They have gone past that one. They are thinking about something else. They are developing images to represent other people. They are in a different world, and we are still behind. So me, if you ask me the question about what it is right now, we are always playing catch up. And if you play catch up, you come late to the game. The food is cooked already, and you have to come and eat it like that. That's what is happening to us. The food is cooked, and we come and eat it like that. So many of the why if you are talking about the fact that we are putting our data in those places, it's like we are bringing the spoon to them to the dinner. That's what we are doing. We are bringing our fork and knives and trying to get the best fork and knife to bring to the dinner. That's why because the food is cooked already. And that's what the European Union saw. They said, no, let's go back and cook our own food. Africa, some countries have thought about it. Some companies are doing certain things on a small scale. Instead of putting money into it to empower to do something better, we are not even doing that. Right now, I'm sitting on committees that we are working on the National Data Exchange for Health. And we are building AI models to certain AI algorithms to be able to analyze the data and then be able to make sure that we can have use the data to be able to make informed decisions concerning healthcare. Will you believe that as you go around trying to synchronize everything, when we go to different healthcare agencies in Ghana, everybody has some his own kind of technology that is running or deployment of an internal software and has a different funder which is from outside the country and has a different vendor which is a Ghanaian or a non-Ghanaian. So how do you synchronize disparate applications when everybody has his own so that we can have one voice? But everybody has some contract that he has done and somebody sponsored it. Because we don't have our own money to be able to sponsor IT initiatives, all of us have become what should I say, development prostitutes. We have, in terms of developing IT, we have got different, even sometimes one institution, the company that sponsored the international agency that sponsored a part of it, we came from B and maybe Japan, and another one came from Belinda Gates, another one came from this, another one came from that, and all of them are piped into the system, picking different types of data. So your data is going already. And your data is going on because anybody who gives you money needs some de-identifiable, like it has been it's unidentifiable data. It doesn't identify any human being, but the data in terms of what is happening in terms of diabetes and this, all of them is already going. It's not that this is due to go one day. All right, so when somebody gives you money, he wants access to the data. If somebody gives you money, he wants access to the data. So I chanced, I was supposed to sit in one meeting and I saw the same conversation going, and I had to tell them this is where Ghana is going now. And I didn't even know that people were listening. So when I finished, and then somebody called and said, in fact, what you said is the last time is what's the most important thing. We need to let the founder know that this is what Ghana has decided. Otherwise, they will come with what they want to do, and that's what we have to listen to. So please, I plead with you. They have left the data discussion. They are on AI governance. We are sitting on the data discussion, and we don't even know what we are doing. It had to. Do you remember last year what happened? And they said our healthcare, this thing has been hijacked and all this kind of stuff. It had to take somebody who had um, 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 some interesting contract with Ghana in managing all our public, our healthcare data and our healthcare systems for him to misbehave before we wake up to realize that the data, we don't even have it. It had to take until the guy misbehaved, we didn't even know. But we assign millions of money to the person from political reasons or anything. I don't know. So somebody asked yourself, the people who did this contract, were they thinking about Ghana? So when Trump called that Fable to me, he was just talking for the nation. But even that in America, people are even fighting is infringing on the rights of the company. And so, but he told that when it comes to national security, the rights of the nation come before the rights of the company. We need to wake up. Wherever officer you are sitting in, you need to wake up. And you are part of the. This is one of the reasons why in training you, we want to teach you a lot of things. And one thing I'm trying my best to make sure people understand is the communication dimension of policies. If we don't communicate it well, nobody knows it. Nobody knows it. Nobody understands it. It just sits down. And people do things without their knowledge, without the knowledge of the policies. Anyway, I've said it, I've said some things, but I'm hoping that people understand it. Please, you can ask questions. Because you guys are not even asking tough questions, right? Yesterday, the kind of question they asked, we finished at 10 o'clock. We started at the normal time, but we did some different. Yes, but but not always. Okay, look at the grok this week. Caught secretly uploading code. Okay. Somebody put something there. Fiano, okay. Also, in a lot of terms of service of AI products, calling the API that does not store your data on servers. It's exempt from using your data for training. Okay. This data for training issue is a very funny discourse. The data is with me. You say I tell you I'm not using for training, but the data is with me. It's not with you. And I tell you that I'm not using for training. Is the data with you? Are you sitting by my house to know what I'm using for training? The data is with me. And I come back from the field, I'm not using for training. And you say I'm using it for training. So I say, prove it. Whether I'm using for training or not, you just have to take my word. That's all I can just say. The data is with me. I'm not using for training. I was just studying an AI platform that helps to check whether you are using for assignments. You check whether you are using AI or not. And after doing a lot of study with the platform since yesterday night, programming different ways to see how bypasses can be done, I came to realize that the other countries, other universities, University of Chicago, and I've done studies to realize that AI detection platform is good in terms of academic, is good. But itself is so good that because it is good, it is bad that it is good in itself. That it being good makes it actually become in error. I don't know how to explain it to you. It's too strict to the extent that, let me just give you a simple case. We wrote a sentence, a paragraph, and he said that paragraph is AI, slightly AI moderated. It's slightly AI influenced or moderated or AI assisted. Good. And you gave it 56%. The sentence, one of the sentences that started the paragraph was, the study therefore ceased to do this. I just removed the therefore, the whole thing came back to human, 100% human. Just the therefore, just the word therefore. So in what sense did this whole thing carry a whole paragraph just because therefore? And then when I checked the other studies from other universities, they were saying that they have trained it on its own, that you type words into it and it highlights, it starts advising itself of learning from the same words that it's actually, so it's actually learning as you are also putting more words there. So you put something that you say that is AI driven. If you accept that it's AI driven, some of the key words that it reinforces it. So therefore, in a statement makes the thing becomes AI written. We've removed the therefore, it's not AI written again. I have the studies here. I did 12 studies, 12 different reports, and we're testing. I was testing it with Claude. And Claude even agreed with me that there's an error of distance. So when we start looking at other studies from different universities, they start talking about the sensitivity is so high that it actually throws it into false positives. I hope you understand what I'm trying to say. So if we say that the thing is not using and that's what I'm trying to tell you about the fact that you said the thing is not training itself with AI. The thing is with me. So as I'm consuming data from you, I'm learning. I don't know how to explain it. Sometimes even within the context video you're working, it forgets itself. If it reminds you, yes, I remember it is there. Now some of them can be able to search within so far like what they have been doing right now. Gemini says, allow me to go through all your emails. Co-work says, I want you to go through all your emails and knows about you. What do you think it's looking for? It's trying to look at how human beings pattern and live our lives. And we in the Africa that we don't have something like that. We are the ones we are jumping to it first, fresh. And I'm not saying I'm part of it. We are all jumping, giving it access. We are giving it access. After some time, it can be able to write a letter about concerning us or from us to your place, and it will sound just like us, and we will not be able to tell where the difference is, and even email it. It's actually doing that already with those who are using it as an agent. So please, we are. Your question was good, but we are behind. Yes, sir. So it's your discretion whether or not to use a product or not. Oh, please use the product. Use the product. You have to also be part of the game. You need to be able to get your local fee and get paid. So you use the product. You won't do your work and become competitive. You need to use the product. Even before AI, you are still choosing to send your data to your company and consenting to what they claim the usage is. But what do you want us to do? I still have to get my work done. I've got volumes of data to analyze. I can't analyze myself. And I need speed. We are writing a paper like that. I said that balancing speed with minimizing judgment. Which of them is more important? You get speed, but your judgment, you are thinning out judgment. Your judgment is not getting enough room to intervene. So that's one of the challenges that we have, that if a student doesn't understand how to write and is using generative AI, it will make it worse, because you will not know when there is a mistake, and you not know. For example, how did I know that I can just remove the therefore? Because I know that therefore and those words are there to be able to enhance the sentence construction. If I just remove it, it can change the dynamics in the way, and therefore it's a common use word. And sometimes the problem of AI is that they flag common use words. So a common use word may be flagged over 80 times. So that all that 56% I'm having that is unsure about, it's just coming from the therefore. Anyway. So don't use it, please. I will not advise you. No, don't use it. The only problem is that it's responsible to use it. I'm actually on a campaign. I gave students a paper to read on how to use generative AI more and more appropriately in their assignment. I'm talking to my PhD students over the week, and I taught them what to use it to do and how to. Somebody had published a paper in information systems, Journal of Association Information, and was actually advocating the responsible usage and what it should do on every step. It was a very good paper, and they were very happy about it. Yeah, and even told us how to be able to use it as a research assistant. Very, very good. Yeah. Maybe when we get to seminar next time, I can explain to you how you can use it to analyze data in different ways. Maybe I'll talk about that. But should you don't use it, please, but use it responsibly. Use it responsibly to assess your. If I share the paper with you, you all start citing that paper whenever you do anything. Yeah, they are coming for you. Say, according to Kane, the guy is called Kane and something. Uh, I'll think about it. Listen. So use it. Use it responsibly. Maybe we'll see how best. Next week, maybe by next week, I'm putting some guide together to guide students on how to use it and how not to use it. But use it, in my view. Okay, so please, the challenge, we are far behind in many of the things. I believe that the next generation I think we should do a course called AI leadership. Or even if it's not a master's, it should be a course that people take. How to lead with AI. Not about using AI, this about thinking and being able to run your institutions with a positive and more responsible perspective of AI. I think I should run such a course for free, for people to understand what they can do and sometimes it's not about how good you are in prompting. It's about the good intentions you have to do with solve a problem in your organization and how you can use the AI as a partner to solve the problem. That's more like it, more like what I expect to see. Okay, we'll meet you next week. Thank you very much. I've enjoyed teaching you guys.
Thank you too, Prof.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Prof.
Prof.
Thank you. Lots of insights.
Hoping to hear from you soon on that
Besides,
paper.
but you didn't ask difficult questions. Yeah,
Prof,
the
you
questions
answered
are
all the different questions I had.
anyway, maybe because what I was talking about, some of the things were covering some questions that you had in mind already.
But Prof, one thing you said concerning the UN is very true. I did some time ago. I did my national service with the UN. I was the resident coordinator, and it's very true of what he said that the policies that UN uses is different from the Ghanaian policy, even to the point of even the observing of holidays. There were some holidays UN wasn't observing. That's national holidays UN was observing. And there were holidays that we were observing, Ghana wasn't observing.
All right, that is very, very true. Very true. It's not only UN. I think some of the European-based companies they do that. The European companies that are operating in Ghana, and then sometimes too the embassies. Yeah. Thank you very much. So we'll meet you next week, and we'll continue with our discussions. So please try and put in good effort in your in your submissions of your data governance policy. See you next time.